Greetings, all my NEWBIES people. I hope you are doing well and enjoying our wonderful snowy weather. I'm going to be trying to create a succinct video to explain to you how to grade the free response questions. Please bear with me, I'm only recording this video once, so if I say a lot or stutter over my words, doing the best I can. Also, I have a keyboard because it is the only way I have to control the projector because it's wireless, so I know I look a little funky. Spicy members that are just joining us, the two changes you need to be aware of. Applications this year will not be labeled by name, they'll be labeled by number. This is to promote the most objective process possible. If you'd like more information about that, you can watch the prior video. And second, applications used to be printed on two separate sheets of paper. This year they're all going to be white because the free response questions require that there be color printer, and if it's a colored sheet of paper, it's going to taint that. So the marker that labels the number will also be in a color, so black or white. You guys will see that as we go through these. So the way that I've set this up is I created 3 sample free response questions, and then I got 3 separate ambassadors to grade them. So I'm going to introduce to you guys our judges, and then you guys will see the applications, and then we'll see how the ambassadors graded them to give you guys an example. The thing to keep in mind is that these are just examples, so you can take from these ideas, leave them. You are creating your own grading process. That's really the beauty of this whole ordeal. So our first judge is Harrison Gillette. I love that picture. So what Harrison likes to look for is passion, professionalism, humor, and he always starts with 2 points. So it's up to the applicants to bring their score up from there. Along with this, he had some advice for new members. Look for what you want in a newbie and trust your gut. His explanation with that trust your gut part was even if you don't particularly know why you don't want to give somebody a 5 or a 4 or whatever else, but you just don't feel good about it, you feel off about it, you want to go with what your heart's telling you. Our second judge is Nafemi. What she looks for when she's grading an application are originality, passion, time and thought, and an explanation of why an applicant chose a given medium. The way that she scores her applications are based off of these. With a 5, she's blown away, 4 is creative thought, 2 looks rushed, 1 is lack of effort, as you guys can see. Our third judge is Sarah Schuler. She has, instead of what she looks for, she has questions she keeps in mind when grading an application. The first, did they answer the question? Were they being yes men? For those of you guys that don't know, a yes man is a yes man is somebody who's really just saying whatever they think other people want to hear versus being original and authentic. Did the application resonate with her personally? So as you can see just on what the original tips and pointers that our judges gave are, there's really no set process to how you guys can look at this. So here are the submissions. They were all made by me, so please don't laugh at me. But the first, I don't think I told you guys, no I definitely didn't. Please scroll down and download this file so that you can read everything yourself. In the description, there's a hyperlink to this presentation so that you can read everything. I understand and realize that you won't be able to see everything here. I'm just going to cut this out and yep. Okay, so the first submission is a hand. It's a drawing of a hand. Here's the description. I'm not going to read it so I don't have to keep doing this, but also because you guys have it in front of you. Let's see what our judges put with scores. Harrison gave it a 4. He thought professionalism was apparent. A handshake and relationship building are important to him. Nafemi gave it a 5. She thought it was creative and showcased talent, as well as showed a clear understanding of what ambassadors is, and there was an obvious time commitment put in. Sarah Schuler gave it a 4. She thought it was a genuine response, personally resonated with her, and showed an understanding of what ambassadors was all about. Just a thing to keep in mind, new members, applications are graded as a whole. So each applicant gets 1 number. They don't get a number for their essay and a number for their free response and a number for their letters of recommendation. I'll talk about all the components in just a minute, but just remember, there's only 1 number. Here's our second application. It's a poem. I actually am going to read this one out loud because I think it's kind of funny. My life is gold, people put on hold. Anytime I walk through the door, jaws drop to the floor. I'm not going to read this out loud again for the sake of time, but I think you guys will enjoy that one. Let's see what our judges gave it. Harrison gave it a 1. He thought it was unprofessional, arrogant, and it included grammatical mistakes. Nafemi also gave it a 1. She thought it was a good medium, but showed lack of depth and effort. She also thought it was cocky and unprofessional. Sarah was just immediately put off by it and thought that it was ingenuine. One thing to keep in mind with this, all of these judges gave it a 1, but one ambassador may think that it was amusing and showed spunk and was kind of funny. So I probably did a little bit too good of a job of making this a bad application, but people can respond to these things in a variety of different ways. For a third submission, it's a recipe. Again, not going to read it. I will say this is a recipe that I made. This is a kind of true story. It's a delicious recipe. You guys should totally try it. Our judges, Harrison gave it a 3. He thought it showed creativity, and he has an obvious passion for food that we all know about, so that resonated with him, but he did think it was lacking elsewhere. Nafemi gave it a 4. And this is really, really important. I want please everybody focus on this. I did not personally connect with this, but recognize it satisfies the prompt. So I did a check earlier today. As of right now, about 70% of the submissions, of the free response submissions, are non-essays. So they're pictures, they're there's photo collages, they're business plans, poems, songs, raps, all sorts of different things. And there's no way that every ambassador is going to personally connect with every prompt. So whenever you make your criteria for grading, whatever they are, just keep them consistent throughout, even if it's not something that you're really that into in terms of a medium. Sarah gave this a 3. She thought it was good, yet not great. It had a nice relation of the prompt to the recipe. So from here, I want to talk about the components of the application. I'm almost done, guys. Just bear with me. It contains their personal info, so their GPA, major, and hometown, as well as the ambassador attempts that they've attended, such as fall forum and not info session. Sorry, Ellie. It lists their extracurriculars, their 2 letters of recommendation included, the 2 essays, the free response question, and the hashtag. So when you are grading these things, what you need to ask yourself is, what do you care about? How much does something matter to you? Not everybody's going to carry these things differently. For example, one person may think that GPA is super important, and another's going to be like, yeah, totally not mattering to me whether or not they have a good GPA. So you need to personally decide for yourself what it is that you care about, because each applicant only gets one number. Here's some additional tips for everybody to keep in mind. These guidelines that we've gone over in this video, which I hope you guys have found informative, apply not only to the free response, but to all application submissions, the essays and the hashtag. It's all about creating a system that works for you and implementing that system across the board. These are just examples, so create your own personal rubric. This is something really, really important. We want you guys to watch for positive bias. We went through the bias training with Bindu Jain, and we learned that bias can be both positive and negative. I listed out a few different examples of things that people tend to have bias about. So to go over them each one by one, I will totally own up to the fact that there was a time period in my life where if I were grading something and saw that somebody was in Greek life, I would have immediately knocked their score down. Fortunately, I've had some wonderful people in my life, many of whom are ambassadors, that have shown the misheld stereotype to be untrue. But again, we all do have bias. Going into religion, if you read that somebody is involved in a church group, you don't want to give them a higher score or a lower score. I'm going to use RUF for example, because I know it's really popular, especially with our own ambassadors. But if I'm in RUF and read that somebody loves RUF, then I don't want to give them a higher score. If I'm an atheist and read that somebody goes to a Presbyterian church, I don't want to knock their score. And then income. Let's say you read that somebody's traveled all around the world. I personally would be super jealous about that, but that's not a reason for me to change their score based on the quality, based not off the quality of the submission. What we're looking for here, guys, is people that would make great ambassadors. You get to decide what would make a good ambassador, but things like faith, how much money they have, those aren't the types of things that compose what makes a good ambassador. I'm kind of rambling here. I'm sorry. This is something else to keep in mind as we move to in-person. Our group has a reputation for being pretty people-only. And it is definitely easy to like people that are attractive. That's just It's human nature. But as we move into interviews and interactions, we don't want to give people higher scores solely for that. The time you spend on each application should be equivalent, and please keep a holistic understanding. While you may grade somebody's application here, when you see the applicant in real life, they could be a totally different person. That's pretty much all I have. I hope that you guys enjoyed this and found it informative. I'm really sorry it's not in person, and I'm sorry if this video is not awesome. I hope that it was decent. You guys are the real MVPs, and I appreciate all you guys do and how flexible you guys are being. So have a great snowy weekend.